Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us for this special live stream episode of the show. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for listening. For tonight's show, I had planned to bring Marvin Allen on, and he says he's still going to be here, but he's running behind. Last I heard from him about 10 minutes or so ago, he said he would be here at the latest at 9:15, so about 15 minutes late. Well, to fill time until he gets here, I just got a message from Al Santariga, a well-tenured Dogman researcher, and he was basically asking if I'd like for him to fill in time until Marvin got here. And I said, well, by all means, thank you. And sent him a link to the studio here. So he should be popping in pretty much any moment now. But until he did that, I'm going to fill some time myself just to make sure that things go as smoothly as possible. If anyone in the live chat has any questions they would like for me to answer, then by all means, send them my way. And if I can answer them, I definitely will. But so that you know, we've been doing a couple of special episodes lately, bringing on Marvin tonight. And then, of course, last week I did an episode with a Canadian Dogman researcher. If you'd like to have more shows like this, specialty shows where instead of it's eyewitness after eyewitness, then just let me know. Shoot me a message and let me know, and I'll do the best I can to make that happen. On my end, sometimes I get a little caught in a rut when it's the same thing week in, week out, show in, show out. So on my end, it's kind of fun to kind of mix it up as well. So if that's what you want, that's not a problem my way. There's a show as far as what to look forward to, if you could put it that way. There's a show upcoming where it's probably going to be next Friday night, so that you know, where I'm going to highly recommend that before you let your kids listen to it, if you are one of those people who allows your kids to listen, that you listen to the show yourself. It's going to be probably one of the most frightening episodes that have ever aired on the show. So you've been warned. Like I said, I definitely would recommend listening to it before you let anyone under the age of, I'd say, 14 listen to it. Well, it looks like we've got Al in here with us, joining us. Al, thanks so much for coming in.
Hey, Vic, thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for your time. What have you been up to, Al? I know you don't let any grass grow under your feet. You're always out there beating the bushes, researching. What's the latest development?
No, actually, I've been laying pretty low. Of course, I got some stuff coming up in a few weeks. I got a ton of stuff planned for this summer, but I've been laying pretty low. But I don't know how long it's going to be before Marvin gets on. So I thought I may talk about something that I've never talked about before when it comes to the Dogman.
Oh, by all means, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know how much time we have to kill. So the Men in Black. I wanted to discuss the Men in Black. I had a Man in Black experience.
Oh no.
It had to do with the Dogman situation, and a really, really scary kind of thing. There's a location up here that one of my locations that I do a lot of squatching in, and at one point I seen a Dogman at the same location. So obviously, I got to go back. I got to start researching it, and it was weird. I was just driving along the parkway, and it's right along the power line cut, and there's like up on top of the hill where the power lines are. There's a shed that the power company uses. I guess they put their quad runners in there or whatever to go from line to line because it goes straight up a giant mountain, And one day I'm driving by and I see a Dogman up on top of the shed. And it looks like he's holding on with his left hand, holding on to the power line. And he's got his nose up in the air and he's sniffing. And I don't know if he's sniffing for other Dogman, if he's sniffing for deer. I'm not really sure what he's sniffing for. And this is something I never really ever talk about on air, but I figured just to kill some time before Marvin comes back, we could discuss this. And I call my partner Brian, and Brian's like, "You got to turn around, you got to go look." we went back and I looked and I went up to the location and I checked around and I didn't see anybody there watching me. And I didn't see, by the time I got back to the location, I didn't see any Dogman anymore up on top of the roof of the shed. And the roof was like 12 feet high, you know. Um, but you know, again, I get home, I call Brian and I tell him about what I seen, yada yada yada. And one day I'm cruising up the parkway and I have like an hour and 10-minute commute to and from to work. I leave like 4:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm driving home one day and I'm just cruising. It's a Saturday. I'm cruising up the parkway and in the right lane, just cruising. And a police car drops out of the sky from behind me. I don't know where it came from. Honest to God, there was nobody on the parkway but me. And then the next thing I know, I see, and up here in New York, our park police have green and white cars. The state police have blue and gold. And a lot of people don't realize that the park police are state police as well, and they can give you speeding tickets and everything else. So I see the police car behind me, and I'm doing 65 in the right lane, and the next thing I know, I see the lights go on, and so right as I was passing an abandoned ski resort, I pull into the giant parking lot and I hear on the walkie-talkie, their radio tells me to go to the back of the lot behind this giant um, gravel, stone gravel. They were doing construction in the area. They were putting all the construction material in this giant parking lot, and I'm like, why am I have to go behind this giant gravel, mountain? So I pull up behind the giant gravel. And now no one can see me from the parkway. And these guys pull in behind me in the police car. And they say to me over the PA system, they say, take the keys out of the ignition, throw them in the passenger side floor, put your hands on the steering wheel, make sure your seatbelt is on, and open the windows, both windows. And I'm like, what is going on? And to me, it feels like a mob hit, all right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is going on here? I'm freaking out. And these two guys get out of this police car. They're not wearing uniforms. They don't look like any cops I've ever met in my life. They look like special forces guy. One guy's in a leather jacket with, aviators on. The other guy's in a dungaree jacket with mirror glasses. And they're on either side of the car. And they're screaming at me. And the guy with the little jacket reaches into his pocket, pulls out a little black book, and he says, "Are you Al so-and-so?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he gives the whole rundown of who I am. And I go, "Yes, that's me." And the other guy's screaming at me. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? And the guy says, so I said to them, I said, "Could I see some ID?" And they had badges, but the badges they were wearing didn't match the cars they were driving, you know? And so I said, "Could I see some like ID?" And he goes, "You want to see my ID?" And he shows me his gun. And I'm like, okay, that's good enough for me. And so this guy's screaming at me and he's telling me, "Stay out of my woods. You don't know what you think you know what's going on. You have no clue what's going on." And one guy is screaming at me from one side, the other guy is screaming at me from the other side. Neither one of them are getting close enough to the car to put their hands on the car. I'm hoping they get close enough and put their hands on the roof because I'm thinking I can get some fingerprints or something. But they're screaming at me and I'm locked into my seatbelt. I can't even make a move on anybody if I wanted to because I'm locked in. And the guy says, "It would be pretty sad for you to spend 30 years at the PO, the post office, and lose your pension now. That would be pretty shitty, don't you think?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that would be really shitty considering that I put 30 years there." And then the other guy goes, "You know what's worse than that?" He goes, going to jail for child pornography. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. You have to calm down. There's no reason to go down this road. He's like, we could put whatever we want on your computer and have you locked up. And I was like, what's going on? You know, he says, one guy's screaming, stay out of my woods. The other guy's like, I don't even want you going to the park to play basketball or anything. And these guys are like going absolutely ape shit on me. And I'm sitting there and I'm freaking out and I'm thinking, what is going on here? What is this all about? And I realized that I had just seen this Dogman not far from where I'm sitting in this parking lot of this abandoned ski resort. And I'm thinking it's got to do with the Dogman, because I've been in these woods a million times looking for Sasquatch and never had anybody come after me. And these guys must be tracking this Dogman or this pack of Dogmen or whatever in the woods. And at that time, we were doing Brian and I were doing 2 monthly meetings, one down in Westchester, which was all paranormal, and one up in Red Hook, New York, in Dutchess County, which was more UFO based. And we had always felt that we were getting visitors at the UFO meetings, thinking, you know, this guy's a plant or that guy's a plant, you know. And one of the guys said to me, he says, by the way, what are you guys discussing Thursday night? That was the night we did the meeting. And I go, UFOs. And he goes, smart boy. He goes, stick with UFOs. Nobody gives a shit about those. He says, just stay out of my woods. And when I tell you, I've been in the woods with a lot of different cryptids and entities and everything else. Nothing ever scared me as much as dealing with these 2 guys. Kept me out of the woods, Vic, for 2 years. And I told Brian, and they actually told me, they said, and you tell your fat effing partner that if we catch him in the woods, because Brian lived in the Bronx at the time, in the city, and he said it would be a shame if he went to jail if he was arrested as a domestic terrorist. There's no telling what kind of guns we could pull out of his apartment. And they gave me his building number and his apartment number and the whole 9 yards. And the next day, I told Brian, I can't talk to you over the phone. Meet me at a location. I told him what's going on. And he went out and he bought a 2-way camera for his car in case it ever happened to him, if he got pulled over. But for a week straight, and I would leave my house in the mornings different times, 4, 4:30, 5, 5:30. Every time I left my house, after I would pass this one exit on the parkway, a police car would show up behind me and follow me for like 3 or 4 exits every single day. And the same thing on the way home. I found it completely insane because I was working all different kind of hours. One day was 8 hours, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours. It didn't matter what time I passed this exit. As soon as I passed it, boom, there was a police car behind me, and they would follow me, and they would follow me in the morning on the way to work, and they would follow me at night on the way home. And I don't know if they had my car bugged or something. I didn't look for a bug. I was just freaking out because I was like, these people can do anything they want to you. They have that ability. And when someone tells you about the Men in Black, of course, these guys weren't actually dressed as Men in Black, but these guys were definitely from a feds, and they were not playing games. And they were big guys. Both of them were like the size of Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know what I mean? And these guys were not playing games. And I'm a pretty big guy. I have all kinds of different color belts in martial arts. I could defend myself pretty well. I have no fear. But these guys put the fear of God in me. And when they come knocking on your door and they pull you over in the middle of the parkway on the road early in the morning and you're by yourself and there's no one on the road and it's deserted, or they make you pull into a parking lot behind a giant mountain of gravel. I honest to God, the whole time I was sitting there listening to these two guys screaming at me from both sides, thought that at one point I'm going to look to my left at the guy at the window, and the guy on the right is going to put a round in my head and throw a gun in my car and make it look like a suicide. That's what I was thinking the whole time this was going on. It was like totally insane. And I don't really talk about this on air, but I figured to bail you out tonight, I'd come on and talk about it.
Wow, Al, this happened 2 years ago, and you never told me about that. I could understand why you keep that close to the vest, but that's horrible that happened to you.
Vic, it was the most, I've seen Wendigos and rakes and skinwalkers and Sasquatches and Dogman and all kinds of shadow entities in the woods that could kill me. There's no doubt about it. Any of these entities could probably kill me if they wanted to. And nothing ever scared me the way those two guys scared me. They put the fear of God in me.
Well, yeah, I can understand why that would put the fear of God in almost anyone. So that you know, Al, there's a question posted that I can't blame you at all for not answering. One of the listeners in the live chat wanted to know Lily Lewis, to be more specific. She wanted to know where this happened, but you'd be cutting your own throat to reveal the location because that would be directing other people to come right to that area. And that's exactly what those operatives didn't want to happen.
Yeah, no, I would, the only thing I could really say is it happened in the Hudson Valley in New York State. And the Hudson Valley is a pretty big area, so I'm not going to narrow it down any closer than that.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
That's a large area.
Yeah, it's a large area.
Naming off all those cryptids that you've had encounters with, rubbed elbows with, you said that you've never, quote unquote, feared for your life or anything, but which one got your motor running the most?
I would have to say the Dogman when he came to my house that time. Yeah, that one, you know, we made an agreement. I wouldn't go to his house. He wouldn't come to mine. And I've never gone back. But this particular summer, I am going back because I'm doing something with Chris Reinhardt. And he wants to film the location of the den. And so we will be going back this summer to film the location of the Dogman den. And it'll be the first time back there in years. I don't even know how many years. I lost track because, once I made that deal, I kind of stuck to it,
Well, that's the kind of good man you are. Yeah, that's no surprise, and that's what I'd expect from you. For clarity, when you mentioned the time that Dogman came to your home to pay you a visit, are you talking about the time when that one was under your porch, the front porch, when you noticed it?
Yeah, when he was under my front deck. Yeah, actually came twice. Once the week before, where he was in the backyard sniffing at the window, and I had the window open, which is something I never do, and I had the window open at night. And the second time, when he showed up underneath the front deck. Yeah.
How in the world could you ever come out that front door after seeing one of those guys under the front deck without being absolutely paranoid?
I get gut feelings, Vic, and like when I was approaching it under the front deck, not really knowing what I'm looking at because I didn't see any color eyes or teeth or anything like that. I just seen a black blob, and the closer I got, the more focus came. Even though I had the sensor lights in my eyes, I was covering the lights with my hand. I started to see that, the huge head and the hair on his chest and the mane and everything. And that's when the little voice in my head said, you should stop like right here and back up, and I always listen to that little voice. Like the night it was sniffing at my window and the little voice in my head said, touch the wall. And I felt the wall, and I felt the energy coming through the wall, and it didn't feel like a Sasquatch. And when I kind of went towards the window and I listened, I didn't put my head in actually into the window, but I turned my head to listen, and I heard the sniffing. And I got up and I grabbed my pistol grip shotgun, and I was walking through the living room into the kitchen to go out the sliding door and put the lights on in the yard to see what was out there. Again, that little voice in my head said, stop. You don't want to see what's out there. Go back to bed. And that's exactly what I did. And that's all of these actions are so not me. I'm the type of guy that will go and see if there's something, wrong on my property, my house. I'm going to defend my house and my property. But when I hear that little voice that tells me to stop, you don't want to go, because I don't know if it was looking in the sliding glass door. You know what I mean? And if I would have turned that sensor lights out in the backyard and seen it looking through the sliding glass door, who knows how I would have reacted. I may have taken the sliding glass door down with the shotgun, who knows? And same thing when I was walking towards it under the deck. All I had in my hand was a little pocket knife and some pepper spray. And the little voice said, you should stop right here and go back and turn around. And I just felt like, you feel like the dread, like I'm about to get shredded, and I stopped and I went back inside. And then, of course, your brain starts racing 1,000 miles an hour. Should I get the guns out? I'll wake up my son-in-law and my son, give everybody a gun. And I said, no. I've heard too many stories where people who went to war with these things ended badly. And I just said, I'm going to let it go. And I didn't tell anybody anything, but I did go back to the den and say, okay, listen, I got the message. You don't come to my house. I won't come to yours. And that was years ago. I don't even know if they're still using that den anymore. I don't know. I haven't been back there in so long, but, so when I'm around these cryptids and I get these vibes, like when I was out there with the skinwalker and the Wendigo, and I was told, as long as I stay on the path, the right path, I'm safe. I just focus and make sure I stay on the path I'm supposed to stay on. Because if I'm being told that I'm okay if I'm on that path and don't venture off it, I stay on it. And it, like I said, it's always worked out for me. I'm still here.
Well, thank goodness you are. And thank goodness you have those strong instincts. And I'll do you one better. Thank goodness you listened to them, because if you didn't, yeah.
Yeah, and I gotta be brutally honest, I don't always listen. Sometimes I get adventurous and I roll the dice, every now and then. And I've been lucky enough not to have anything really bad happen to me when I do roll the dice, so.
Yeah, thank goodness for that. You might have said it, but I missed it. How far away from your home is that den?
Oh, that den is about, I would say, 15 miles to the east, and then another maybe 4 miles north into the woods, 19 miles away.
So that's just a hop, skip, and a jump away for a dogman then. Did you get paranoid when you'd be out and about mowing and doing other things around your property after you realized that dogman knew where you lived?
No, because like I said, like when I went out that day, when I was going out to start the car, because it was in the fall, I felt like there was someone behind me watching me. And I kept looking, and I'm looking at my house, and I'm looking at my neighbor's houses on either side of me. And I don't see anybody. I don't see any shadow. I don't see nothing. But their vibe was just felt like there was somebody watching me from behind. And not until I actually started the car up and started walking back towards the house that I get that vibe, like, is there something underneath the deck, and then I said, oh, if there's something under the deck, I gotta go see what it is. I can't have my wife and daughter coming out here getting mugged or jumped or whatever, you know what I mean? A homeless person sleeping under my deck. And then as I got closer and closer, you could feel the dread build up, and that's why I said, when the little voice said, you should stop right about here before you get shredded. and just back up slowly and go back inside. And that's what I did.
If your front deck is high enough for a dogman to get under it, then it must be high enough for an appreciable amount of light to shine in under as well. Is that the case, or is it still pretty dark under there?
No, it's pitch black under there because my sensor lights are at the bottom of of the actual deck, so they shine into the driveway. So if you're standing behind them underneath the deck towards the garage door, it's pitch black. You can't see under there. As a matter of fact, when I came out the second time, I came out with my flashlight, and I looked under the deck to get a better look, and there was nothing under there. And then when I went down and looked, I seen all the urine on my retaining wall that was going down into the drain, in the driveway drain. And I was like, son of a bee, this thing peed on my new retaining wall, you know?
Yeah, I remember you saying that when I had
Yeah.
you on the show that time and you talked about that encounter. Yeah, that's rough. Did you have to scrub that wall to get that horrible smell to go away?
Yes, I definitely had to use laundry detergent with a little Clorox in there, and to get that, because it was really oily. It was like an oil slick, you know, like water just ran right off of it. You know, you really needed to scrub it with a hard bristle broom and a hose, you know, to get it off.
Wow, that's horrible. That really is. Looks like Blood Viper has a really good question for you. He wants to know, referring to the Men in Black encounter,
Absolutely.
how long did it scare you from going back into the field, Al?
I'm sorry, you broke up for a second. How long? What?
Yeah, his question is, how long did it frighten you from going back into the field, Al?
2 years to get back into the woods themselves. I didn't do any Bigfoot research or Dogman research for 2 years. As far as like paranormal stuff and UFO stuff, I was fine with that because they said that was okay to do. So I continued to do all my paranormal investigating and all my UFO CE5s and stuff like that, you know, communications. That was so I still stayed busy, but just not in the woods.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. You really don't frighten easily, do you?
I try not to. I try not to do anything. I try not to have any fear come into my body whenever I do anything. Like my psychic told me many years ago, never to go out with subconscious fear. You know, so whenever I do go out, I always make sure I have no subconscious fear. I make sure anybody who's coming with me is read through the psychic to make sure they don't have any subconscious fear, and it's safe for them to go. But as far as like being afraid of people and stuff like that, like I said, I've trained in martial arts my whole life. I'm pretty confident in my ability. I'm not what I used to be as a young man, but you know, still good enough for to survive a fight. You know what I mean? So I don't scare easy. Yeah.
No, I'd say you don't. And I don't doubt that you can hold it down really well. Not at all. I've got another question for you, and it's from Baby Girl. And her question is, do dogmen hunt other cryptids like pill crawlers or rakes? Like I said at the head of the show, Al's a very accomplished researcher, dogman researcher, amongst other things. So he'd be the perfect guest to ask these questions. What do you say about that, Al? Do dogmen hunt other cryptids like pill crawlers or rakes?
I think Dogman will hunt anything that it thinks it can kill without injuring itself. As an apex predator, I think he's not going to challenge something that may injure him. I don't know. I've seen the rake twice now. I don't know if they would be able, if they would even have any defense against a dogman if a dogman was hunting them. But I think if a dogman is hunting and it's hungry and it doesn't think that you may injure it, I think it'll eat anything it can if it's hungry. So I honestly, yes and no, because I don't know for sure 100%, but I don't see it, you know, being afraid of anything that can't do it any harm. And I don't really know if a rake or a crawler would have any kind of ability against an apex predator like that.
Yeah, I bet they probably wouldn't. Dogmen bring a lot to the table, so that's a good point. I've got another question for you from Ascent of Phoenix, and they want to know, does Dogman, or do Dogman is what they want to know, get along with Sasquatch?
I believe in some cases they live, I'm not going to say they live in harmony, but I think they're, what's the right term here? They live in peace long as neither one of them are hunting in the same location at the same time. You know, I just found out recently. I was at a wolf reserve, and I found out recently that a large pack of wolves, like a big family unit of 10 or 12, their range is 1,000 square miles. You know, and a small pack of 3, their range is like 75 square miles. So I think if the Dogman and the Bigfoot have those 1,000-mile ranges and they intercross each other, long as they're both not in the same location at the same time, I think they can live in peace. But I don't know if that would play out if they're both at the same location hunting for food and they both need that food, whatever it is, an elk, a deer, whatever it is, they're both hunting and they come across each other at the same time. Then I think, you know, there may be a fight for the food.
Wow, if that isn't a comprehensive answer, I don't know what is. That's a really good way to answer that question. I normally prefer to focus questions on the guests, but Shannon Umanazor, she asked a question of me that I'm going to make an exception and go ahead and answer tonight. She wants to know, because it is related to what you talked about at the head of the show about the operatives paying you that visit, unfortunately. She wants to know, Vic, do you think the government or Men in Black listen to your show? Oh, yeah, every week, every show. Have you ever had anything weird along those lines maybe happen to you to make you think they are? Well, I've had reports. Eyewitnesses have sent me reports. Some of them got mad about it too. They thought I was giving them the cold shoulder. But I've had reports from eyewitnesses when they've contacted me wanting me to contact them just disappear off my email account or email accounts. Inexplicable, no reason for it. Other messages before the message and after the message were still there, but this one or that one just gone. I'll be in bed, and sometimes when I'm suffering from insomnia, I'm checking messages and doing whatever else, and I'll see a message come in. Okay, well, I picked up my phone at like 3 a.m. I'm looking, and I see a message came in at maybe 2 a.m. where someone's asking for help with their Dogman encounter. So I'll make a mental note and think, okay, well, yeah, it's 3 a.m. I'll just reach out to them tomorrow to try and schedule a phone conversation. And sure enough, tomorrow I'll go to access that information and it's gone. Like I said, encounters before theirs and after theirs are still there, but that one particular one has just disappeared. So maybe that is due to interference from government operatives. I don't know, but it does happen. And like I said, some of the eyewitnesses who I wasn't able to contact, their reports just disappeared. Some of them took exception to that because I think they thought that I was blowing them off or something. So it's possible that I've been affected by activity from Men in Black, but yet to answer your question, Shannon, I can't say for sure definitively that I have. I know there's a certain line not to cross. So yeah, I just do the best I can not to cross that line. And I think that's why I haven't been paid any visits by these guys or anything like that. But I mean, it's all a matter of risk. I want to be able to do what I do for a long time. I hate the idea of me doing anything that would put that in jeopardy. But I mean, it's all a matter of what you're comfortable with as far as risk when it comes to how close to that line you get. I hope that answers your question there. That was a good question, and that's a question I've seen several times before. So I thought, you know what, that's a good opportunity right now to address that. The next question for you, Al, is from D Truth. And D wants to know, Al, do you feel the reward? Oh, the reward. Al, do you feel the reward is worth the risk? You've been warned by the vets.
Absolutely not. No, I do not feel like the reward is worth the risk. I think that time when they chased me out of that location, I would have not been there if I didn't see that Dogman up on that building that one day driving by chance. So I think they were monitoring that location. If I would have came by 10 minutes earlier, 10 minutes later, and never seen that creature up on that roof, I would have never went back into that woods at that particular time looking for a Dogman, because there's a certain time of the year I go there for the Sasquatches, and it was a different time. And I think I just stumbled into whatever they were doing, and they didn't want me in those woods. They didn't want me in those woods. They didn't want me telling anybody about what was going on in those woods. And they didn't want other people in that woods. They just wanted to keep as many people out as possible. I think it was just by chance. And, I wish I would have came by 10 minutes later and never seen it,
Yeah, like you said, 10 minutes, 5 minutes later, and you probably wouldn't have seen it. So that's one of those shoulda, coulda, woulda situations. It really is. The next question in line is it's from D Truth again. He wants to know, which cryptid do you feel has the largest population?
No, I would have to say Bigfoots. I believe the Bigfoots have the largest population.
Yeah, I can't see how you could be wrong about that. I mean, they have to have a bigger population than Dogman, you would think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't have numbers on all of them, but I mean, I would just imagine they've both been seen by the Native Americans since like the beginning of time, but the Bigfoot seem to be more popular in Native American law as well. So I'm just going to go with the Bigfoots.
I'm sure you're right. If anyone would know, it would be you. So I don't doubt you. This next one's from Tyler Hergott, and Tyler wants to know, has Al ever seen or heard of a white dog man?
A white what?
Dog man.
I've heard of them. I've never seen one, but I have heard of them. Yes, and I think just like every other cryptid or humanoid, I think their pigmentation can change. And I think every now and then you'll get an albino one that'll come in. Like a lot of people believe that the white ones are older. I don't necessarily believe that. But I've never seen a white dog man, but I've seen a white Bigfoot, and I've seen a white deer run across my road, and and I'm privileged to see pictures of white buffalo, alligators and stuff like that. So yeah, I believe they're out there.
Yeah, when you consider all the different varieties of dogmen out there, it really makes you wonder what isn't out there. It really opens up the possibilities. It really does.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
It does. Well, it looks like Marvin has joined us. He just popped in, so I can't thank you enough for coming on and filling in for Marvin, Al. I really do appreciate it.
No problem, Vic. Anytime for you two guys. Love you both. And I just wanted to say one thing to the listeners out there. If you do get visited by the Men in Black, take it serious. It's no joke.
That's good advice. Very good advice. Al, thanks again so much for your time. And please remember, if I can ever help you, all you have to do is just let me know.
No problem, Vic. I call you whenever I have questions for you.
I'll be here.
All right, buddy. Ciao.
Have a good one. Mark, are you there?
Can you hear me?
I sure can. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. All right, right quick. I'm gonna just go get me something to drink real quick, and I'm ready to rock and roll.
All right. What I'll do then is I'll send you back to the green room, and then I'll plan on bringing you back in. What, 5 minutes? You think 10 minutes? How much time would you need?
Like 10. 10, I'll be ready.
10
I'll be
minutes.
ready. I'm ready to rock and roll.
I'll tell you what, we're already 40 minutes in.
That'll get more people to join in. Don't you think
Well,
so?
yeah, we could do it that way, but
It's
I
up
mean,
to you.
this, Marvin, would you be up for doing this tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern so we can just get it from the start at 9 p.m. Eastern time and it won't be compromised?
I mean, it's up to you. However you want to do it. If you feel though that would be better, because the day I went to try to go get me a ID because I lost my ID, so I went to go get that today, and it was so crowded in there. I didn't know that I would be there so long, and the bus schedule was not running like it usually runs. So tomorrow, only thing I would have to do is I need to go see my counselor and come back in the house. I wouldn't have nothing to do Saturday. I mean nothing. So I will be in the house all that time. So unless you want to do it earlier, it's up to you.
Well,
We can do it however long you want to do it. It don't make me no difference.
I'll tell you what, I've got plans for earlier tomorrow, but if you're going to be available tomorrow night, let's just plan on starting.
I'll be available. I'll be available tomorrow night.
Okay. Yeah, if that's the case, let's just start fresh at 9 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow night and then just make a show of it, a 2-hour show, if that'll work for you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, how many you want to do an hour and a half of encounters, and we do the half hour of answering questions.
That's right. Yeah, if you're up for it, let's do that.
Okay, absolutely. Well, just make a post of it. Tell them we was going to do it tonight, but we fell short a little late. You know what I mean? And so that I don't want them to be disappointed. You know what I mean? Because they was looking forward to it.
Oh yeah,
they was definitely looking forward. They was definitely looking forward to it. You know what I mean? So I want them to. I know you can make a post up to let them know that we was going to do it, but we put it off until Saturday. You know what I mean? So we can start exactly at 9, the time that you want to start, the time that you usually start. So we don't want to break that mold.
That sounds good. Yeah, tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern time sharp. I'll have everything ready to go, and yeah, we'll just get a fresh start then. But as you know, thanks for your time, and yeah, I'm sorry things didn't work out tonight with you, but
it don't matter, because I mean we was going to do it, but like you said, we 40 minutes over, so like you said, we can do it tomorrow. I have nothing to do tomorrow. You know what I mean? So I said I'll be in the house. You know what I mean? So.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll just do it tomorrow night.
So you think right, but I was gonna say you think we should set up probably like 15 minutes earlier, like quarter of, and that'll give people time enough to get into the chat. I mean, it's up to you.
I'll tell you what, Marvin, let's get this all hashed out off of the air behind the scenes. Let's just close out the show here tonight now, and then I'll just get with you and we'll get this all worked out behind the scenes. But yeah, okay. I'll get the word out about tomorrow night, it being tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern time, and we'll just start fresh from there. But thanks for your time.
Oh yeah, absolutely though. And like I said, I'm gonna definitely be ready. You know what I mean? I got the encounters on hand. You know what I mean? I might just go ahead and call somebody up that I ain't talked to in a while. I didn't get all of their encounter either, so I might call them up and just get the rest of theirs. You know what I'm saying? So they won't be as long as some of them, but I could put some little, some small ones in there, so I can make it air out to an hour and a half.
Well, that sounds good. Yeah, if you're going to be ready, I'll have everything ready. So
I'm definitely ready.
I'll just bring you on then, and we'll take it from there. But having said that, yeah, thanks for your time, and hope you have a great night.
Okay, and you too. And I'll like I said, we'll do this tomorrow.
Sounds like a plan. We'll talk to you then.
All right, Vic.
Thanks. We'll see ya.
All right.
Well, everyone, I apologize for the delay in bringing Marvin on, but as you heard, we'll be back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, to do this with a fresh start. And as you heard also, it's going to be a 2-hour show. The first 90 minutes Marvin's going to be sharing encounters, and then after that 90-minute mark, or approximate 90-minute mark, he'll be on hand to answer any questions people in the live chat have for him. So, having said that, as always, thanks so much for listening, and hopefully I'll catch you tomorrow night.